Brandon's, oh, hold on. Well, he's way too big to be sitting in front of me too, in the same shirt. And I was like, no. Brandon's back again to the Kabuki Strength Studio. Today, wearing the same clothes. That's what happens when you only have about 5 shirts that our company makes. Today we're talking one of our favorite internal and external rotation drills for the hips. That is the Shinbox Getup. This is a drill that's done a lot in different combat-based sports. It's a drill that we recommend to a lot of our strength athletes. It's a great self-assessment for your left to right hip imbalances, and it's an overall excellent drill to prep for squatting, deadlifting, and anything in a wider stance. So we're going to show you how to perform the drill, what to look for, regressions, and how to progress it once your hips become a bit more mobile and you can reach into deeper areas or pockets of internal and external rotation. Brandon, go ahead and get in position here. The setup here is in a 90-90 position. The very first thing that we're going to look at from this drill is to make sure that Brandon is not excessively leaning to one side. So that's assessment number 1. If we find an individual is leaning away from the internally rotated hip, that tells us immediately that they have an internal rotation deficit. So if you are working by yourself and you're doing preparation work and you're trying to figure out if you have an internal rotation deficit, external rotation deficit, this is the easiest way to do it because you can hop in there and you will either be cocked one way or another, and it'll tell you exactly which hip is kind of causing some of your shifting or hip shift patterns in your squats. That's point number 1, and we'll work you through both sides here. The next step, it's very important that we hinge forward before starting the drill. So we actually want scapulas and shoulders to be over the knees. We don't want to start perfectly upright. If we do, we're likely to end up with a bit more spinal extension to get momentum, or we'll end up having to rock forward really hard. This should be a very deliberate drill, and it's one of those drills that we should really be thinking of scrubbing through the hip capsule. It's the way I like to think about it when we do it. If you have painful knees, either from squatting, training, or anything, you might not want to do this drill, or put some padding under your knee because Brandon is going to be planning off of that right knee as he does this. So get in position here, Brandon. Hinge just a little bit. Super important here that he does not round his back. If he rounds his back, it's not such an issue at the thoracic spine, but if he rounds his lower back, he's actually going to put himself into a posterior pelvic tilt, and that's going to limit how much his glutes are actually firing in this drill. And this is very much a glute activation drill and a hip mobility drill in one. Go ahead and show him the drill here, Brandon. Good. At the top here, Brandon's getting into full hip extension with an internal rotation and external rotation. He's really pushing the limits of how far internally he can take that hip. Go ahead and get back into the bottom position. And this is exactly how we would do it. We would string together probably 5, 6, maybe 8 reps, but being very deliberate. As you can see, Brandon doesn't have a massive deficit on one side or the other, and this is probably a very easy drill for him. Go and turn to the side here really quick, Brandon, so your side's to run. There you go. If we have an individual, go and get into the top position, Brandon. One area that we really coach for this is hovering right above the ground. Go and hover right above the ground there, Brandon. You should be able to do this without rounding your back significantly or without dipping into one hip or the other. If you have this type of control as Brandon does with your hips, it's okay to start loading this drill. If you can't do this, what you'll find, go and get back top position here, Brandon, and just kind of plop into the ground, go slow and then kind of plop. It's very common for people to miss out on their end range internal rotation. They just don't have the capabilities, and it looks kind of like a plop in this drill. They look really good and then they just kind of plop down. If that's you, work that range of motion more intensely, or we'll bring you up into blocks. Brandon, go ahead and sit on those plates there. If you are someone who can't control that end range internal rotation of your hip and it's causing you to plop to the ground, we're actually just going to start you from a higher position and slowly work you down. This is obviously way too high for Brandon. He doesn't even need them, but for demonstration purposes, we'll use 2 plates here. And we would do a lot of reps here, and we would spend time owning those joint angles that we were struggling in. And what we would do once we accumulate a few reps, we'll take 1 plate away, have them continue. Again, we're trying to control internal rotation right at the plate and avoid sitting or plopping. For Brandon, because he has pretty good hip mobility and pretty good stability, we're going to have him hold that plate kind of like an outreached goblet squat, and he's going to try and reach that forward as he does this drill. Go ahead and come off the plate too, Brandon. We generally would only load this drill if you can already do the drill without plopping. Very good. How's that feel, Brandon? It's pretty challenging. Even if you have the hip mobility to do this drill properly, it's still a very challenging drill to string together more than just a couple of reps. So this is great pre-squat, pre-deadlift, even on off days, just to give your hips a little bit of active recovery. This is one of those drills that's not super specific to any one thing, and it's one of those drills that's generally just useful to be good at it.
One extra thing I would add is that we really want to mimic the exact same hinging mechanics we use to get up on the way down. And one of my favorite ways to actually coach this is with about a 5 count eccentric really slow on the way down.